are we missing from the track? Yeah, that's right. Where do I find this online? See Big Brother. Okay. So it's going already. Annoyed at the PBC. Students, I want to be very clear on that. All right. Fine. How long is each to be? How long will it be? How long will it be? 30 minutes. Okay. I'm out of here. Okay, we are streaming. So it means that we're going to begin our debate. Welcome to the first See Think debate for the 2024 Junior League. I am Horace Montague, and of course I'll be presenting this afternoon. Beside me to my immediate right is Mr. Jermaine Barrett. Mr. Barrett is the Chief Adjudicator of the See Think debates. And to his right is Mr. George Good. Mr. George Good is the President of Parents Alliance Jamaica. And of course, Parents Alliance Jamaica is the brainchild of the See Think debates. We are going to be watching an exciting match this afternoon. It is between Halfway Tree Primary School and Woburn Lawn Primary School. Both schools have already played one debate. It was a friendly debate. I will leave the result of that debate private. For today's debate, the mood, this house believes that talking is the best way to resolve conflicts, and using force should be avoided every time. Of course, each team will get their chance to lay their arguments. The proponents of the mood are Halfway Tree Primary School. Halfway Tree Primary School proposed the mood. Talking is the best way to resolve conflicts, and using force should be avoided every time. The proponent first speaker will get 3 minutes. The opponent's first speaker will get 3 minutes. Both teams will again get 3 minutes when the deputy premier and the deputy opposition leader speaks. The whips will get 4 minutes to challenge each team's arguments, and we will sum up the debate with 2-minute speeches. Can we have an introduction from Master Tree, please? You know how it goes, your name and a little bit about, and then over.
My name is Claire Cousins. I am a 5th grader from Woburn Primary School. I am 10 years old and I sing. Hi, my name is Dunkley and
Thank you, Mr. Dunkley.
my name is Sajara Newell and I am in grade 6 and I'm from the Woburn Primary School. My name is Benjamin Marshall, and I am from Woburn Primary School, and I am in grade 6, and I am 12 years old. My name is Rashan Sugul. I am in grade 6, and I am 11 years old, from the Woburn Primary and Infant School. My name is Ajahn Wang, and I am 11 years old, and I am from Woburn Primary and Infant School.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Halfway Tree. The proponent from Halfway Tree, you're in first 3 minutes. Hold on, let me get my stuff back out. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and honorable opponents, my name is Claire Cousins, the first speaker of the Halfway Tree Primary School debate team. Today, we proudly affirm the motion that declares talking as the paramount method for resolving conflicts with the avoidance of force at all costs. Our stance rests on the firm belief that dialogue, empathy, and understanding are not just virtues, but essential components of a civilized society. Throughout history, we have seen the devastating consequences of resorting to force as the primary means of conflict resolution. Wars have ravaged nations, communities have been torn apart, and countless lives have been lost in the pursuit of violent solutions. It is time for us to break free from this cycle of destruction and embrace a more enlightened approach. Dialogue offers us a pathway to reconciliation, compromise, and ultimately peace. By engaging in open, honest conversations, we can bridge the divides that separate us, address grievances, and find common ground. It is through dialogue that we can truly understand the perspectives and needs of others, fostering empathy and cooperation in the process. Moreover, embracing dialogue fosters a culture of peace and mutual respect. It empowers individuals and nations to resolve disputes through reason and understanding, rather than resorting to brute force. Let us let us not forget the countless success stories of diplomacy and negotiation that have averted conflicts, restored harmony, and paved the way for a better future. In conclusion, we urge this House to recognize the transformative power of talking. Let us, let us reject the false contradiction of force versus dialogue and embrace the principles of understanding, empathy, and peace. For in the end, it is through conversation, not confrontation, that humanity truly progresses. Thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, and honorable opponents, good afternoon. I stand before you today to challenge the notion that talking is always the best way to resolve conflicts and that force should be avoided at all costs. While communication is undeniably crucial in many situations, there are instances where alternative measures are necessary for the greater good. I, Rashawn, as the first speaker of the opposing team, will present one argument under the key phrase conflict resolution, and then followed by Danilo as the second speaker, who will give one more argument under the key phrase while force is not necessary. Is necessary. Lastly, Ajani, the third speaker, will rebut all the arguments presented by the opposing team. Before I put forward my case, I would like to define the notion today. Conflict is defined as a serious disagreement or argument, while the word resolve, we define them as to settle or find a solution to a problem or continuous matter, while the word force is defined as any influence that can change a situation. Ladies and gentlemen, conflicts often arise from deep-rooted issues that mere dialogue cannot fully address. History is full of examples where diplomatic talks fail to prevent acts of wickedness and protect the vulnerable. In certain circumstances, a strategic use of force may be the only means to ensure justice and safeguard human rights. Let us not forget that some conflicts involve entities that do not respond to reason alone. Terrorist organizations and oppressive groups, for instance, may exploit diplomatic negotiations to buy time, consolidate power, or continue perpetrating harm. In such cases, a proactive and forceful approach becomes a moral imperative to protect innocent lives. In conclusion, while dialogue has its place, it is natural to dismiss the potential necessity of force in certain contexts. We must consider a balanced and pragmatic approach to conflict resolution that recognizes the limitations of verbal communication.
Thank you, Half We heard from the Premier and we heard from the opposition leader. We now hear some supportive arguments from Half There Deputy Premier. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Esteemed judges, distinguished guests, and fellow debaters, today I stand in unwavering support of the motion that talking is indeed the best way to resolve conflicts, and the use of force must be avoided at all costs. At the heart of this motion lies a profound truth. Dialogue has the power to transform hearts and minds, to transcend differences, and to build bridges where walls once stood. Through dialogue, we have the opportunity to listen, to learn, and to find common ground, even in the most combative of circumstances. Consider, for example, the historic peace treaty that brought of decade an end to decades of conflict among the Europeans and Maroon of the island. Use the force, the use of force, far from resolving conflicts, often creates further violence and instability, prolonging a vicious cycle of retaliation and retribution. By embracing dialogue as a primary means of conflict resolution, we not only uphold the principles of justice and human rights, but also chart a course towards a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. In conclusion, let us heed the lessons of history and reaffirm our commitment to the transformative power of dialogue. Let us reject the false contradiction between talk and action and recognize that dialogue is not a sign of weakness but a testament to our shared humanity. Together, let us build a world where dialogue, empathy, and understanding prevail over the forces of division and discord. I rest my case.
Thank you, Mr. Woburn. On your second speaker, the Deputy Officer Leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, building upon my colleague's insightful arguments, it's essential to delve deeper into the practical realities that challenge the notion that talking alone is always the best conflict resolution strategy. The world is a complex and dynamic state where conflicts manifest in diverse forms. Economic interests, territorial disputes, and ideological clashes often require a more robust response than words can offer. Diplomacy, while valuable, can be undermined by ulterior motives or the unwillingness of one party to engage sincerely. Moreover, in situations where there is an imminent threat to national security or the safety of citizens, relying solely on dialogue could be a perilous gamble. The responsibility of governments is to protect their citizens, and when faced with adversaries who are resistant to peaceful negotiation, a, dis- a decisive use of force may be the only resource. In essence, our position is not advocating for an aggressive approach in every scenario, but rather a recognition that a fine combination of dialogue and force may be the most effective means of defining resolution in the face of complex geopolitical realities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And listen, we heard four wonderful presentations. We're pleased. Give us 2 minutes. I suggest that you use the 2 minutes to determine the questions that you throw at your other team, the whips that is. and whoever is in the summary will use the 2 minutes to prepare said summary. So we'll get that. Alpha G Woburn, are you ready? Alpha G, your weight starts first, and it's Mr. Good, identify yourself. You could do the first. Alpha G, your weight.
My opponents, do you have any evidence from your own experience that can justify this stance that is the best way to escalate the situation first?
Can you repeat the question, sorry?
My opponents, do you have any evidence from your own experience that can justify that this stance it is best to escalate the situation?
My answer is that when we get in fights, all of us sometimes get killed.
Why do you think it's better to escalate the situation?
The more we escalate it, the easier it gets to overcome. When we leave it at that, it may begin to get harder.
Why do you think it is better to fight first than to find out why the person has done what they did? Why do you think it is better to fight first than to find out why the person has done what they did?
Sometimes it matters what they did, but sometimes it is not because they might we might want to find out what they did, but there might be evidence that they did what they did.
You finished it? Thank you, Harvard. You have 2 minutes of questions. But Woburn, it's your turn. Your whip.
Do you believe that there are situations where the use of force might be justified over dialogue in resolving conflicts?
I thought the question was clear.
Do you believe that there are situations where the use of force might be justified over dialogue in resolving conflict.
I would first try to find out if there is a better way to solve the situation than fighting first.
How do you propose to effectively address conflict in scenarios where talking proves ineffective or impossible?
I would say that it said that you would only fight in extreme conditions. So you will try to first find out everything, and then if you can't talk anymore and the situation is getting out of hand, then I will escalate it.
Mr. Speaker, can you ask the opposing team to provide examples where dialogue alone has failed to prevent or resolve conflicts, leading to the necessity of employing force as a means of resolution?
I think the question was asked to the speaker, but you still your question.
Mr. Speaker, can you ask the opposing team to provide examples where dialogue alone has failed to prevent or resolve conflicts, leading to the necessity of employing force as a means of resolution?
Alright, take for example, you and one of your friends have stopped talking. You wouldn't try to fight them or exactly them or anything. You first find out why they stopped talking to you before you start to escalate anything.
Woburn on your completed your question, your own question. Well, thank you. Your summary, 2 minutes, Woburn on. Your apologies.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and honorable opponents, in response to the argument presented by the opposition, we reaffirm our steadfast belief in the power of dialogue as the primary means of conflict resolution. While it is true that force may sometimes be necessary in extreme situations, we contend that such instances are exception rather than the rule. The proposition does not advocate for the wholesale abandonment of force, but rather for its prudent measures used when all other venues have been exhausted. Furthermore, the opposition's assertion that dialogue has been exploited by tyrants and aggressors fail to recognize the importance of diplomacy and negotiation in preventing conflicts from escalating to that point. By engaging in dialogue early and consistently, we can address grievances, build trust, and prevent the emergence of tyrannical regimes or aggressive actors on the world stage. Moreover, the opposition's arguments overlook the transformative potential of dialogue in addressing root causes of conflicts such as inequality, injustice, and misunderstanding. Through dialogue, we can address these underlying issues and create a more just and equitable world for all. In conclusion, while force may have its place in extreme circumstances, it is dialogue that offers the most effective and sustainable means of resolving conflicts. Let us not forsake the power of conversation in our quest for peace and justice. Thank you.
Honorable judges, while the opposition argues for the superiority of talking in conflict resolution, we must utilize the potential drawbacks of an exclusively positive stance. The real world is not always a event where rational dialogue prevails. Firstly, the opposition's assertion that force should be employed at all times over instances where immediate intervention is crucial. In cases of genocide, terrorism, or imminent danger, diplomacy alone may not suffice to protect lives and uphold justice. Secondly, relying solely on dialogue assumes a level playing field where all parties are willing participants in peaceful negotiations. Unfortunately, reality often presents us with adversaries who exploit diplomatic channels for malicious intent, making a proactive use of force a regrettable but necessary measure. In conclusion, advocating for exclusive reliance on talking in conflict resolution oversimplifies the intricate dynamics of real-world disputes and neglects the moral responsibility to protect the vulnerable when diplomacy fails. A balanced approach that considers the complexities of each situation is essential for genuine conflict resolution.
Thank you, Woburn. Thank you, Arbitrary. If you give us 2 minutes to deliberate, we'll be back with you with our results. You must remember, though, once we have good video quality, which I think we should have, well, we certainly should have good audio quality, then a third of the scores can be changed when our videos are left up because persons who are subscribers are able to help score the debates for up to 24 hours. But whatever decision is made here will likely be the decision that stands. We're ready. When you are Woburn on and if you are having something to drink. Right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It was a good debate. I am going to comment on the question and answer round, and then I'll hand over to Mr. Good, who will tell you who the best speaker is and make some comments about the match. And then our chief adjudicator, Mr. Barrett, will make some further comments on the match and tell you who won today's debate from the perspective of the judges. I must say the question and answer round this time was a bit more improved. But we felt like I felt there was still not a lot of listening, like the questions were pre-prepared, and that persons had actually listened to the argument. I think if you had listened to the question, because listening is very important, very, very. I think that if you had listened to the question over and on, you would have dismissed some of what I actually asked you because they were putting words in your mouth. I mean, so as simple, the opposition did not say that. Would have cancelled out some of that question because it was clear that those questions were pre-prepared, and it's really sad that you hadn't jumped at that opportunity. I felt though that Harvard had a better understanding of the movie. And it was probably why you were unable to shut down some of the questions that didn't read, or one of the questions, I can't say some, it was one instance that happened. I think that's it from me. Teams, please. The question and answer round is where you're going to determine who understands the mood and who understands the arguments being made. In the interest of time, it's not good. Thank you so much, and thank you to the debaters for the performance that you would have put up just now. My task really at this moment is to announce who we believe is the best speaker of this debate. And indeed, we saw where some teams, we saw where some members of one team would have exude more confidence in debating, but we also saw where the arguments that were put together by other teams would have been more solid in terms of the arguments that are put together. But all in all, we have to look at all the areas in a collective sense because it's a team debate, yes? And so our chief adjudicator will give the final on that. However, we believe that the most or the best debater for this afternoon's debate would go to the whip of the proposing team. That's Arthur Tree, yes. We felt she was pretty confident in what she said. We felt that she brought across her point very strongly and in true spirit. And so we felt that she was the strongest debater this afternoon. However, in terms of the summation of the match on a whole, the chief adjudicator, Mr. Barrett, will now do that.
Thank you very much, President Good. All right, debaters, this is the moment you have been waiting for, yes? Who won and who placed second? Because nobody lost, right? We will have two teams, a team placing first, a team placing second. I want to have you understand that irrespective of the unique scoring method of a debate comes down to three major areas of assessment. It is what you say, the content in your presentation, how you say it, the style, so the confidence, a lot of what Mr. Good spoke about, yes? The style, so the content, the style, and then, some strategic things, like the placement of ideas, how much time you spend developing important and impactful ideas. So three things: content, style, and strategy. And of the three things, content is scored the most because it's what you say that matters most. All right. So I want you to bear that in mind, and let me help you to understand. And we just speak a lot about content in order for you to understand how we arrived at the decision. So the mood speaks about whether we should pursue conflict resolution through communicating, through talking, through speech, or whether we can at any point in time resort to force. And force, where we need to understand, means fighting, right? Means physical contact, means aggression. Yes? Which of the two? And importantly, if you look at the mood, it says that we ought not to use force at any time whatsoever. We should never use force, right? So the motion contemplates never using force. We as judges, we also are enslaved to the motion, meaning what the mood rather, meaning whatever the mood says, we have to apply that interpretation. So, what did we get into the debate? We got some brilliant arguments from halfway tree telling us that conflict is best resolved through talking, through dialogue, through conversation. Yes? And we got some explanation as to how dialogue is possibly the best approach. Importantly as well, Woburn pushes and says in the question and answer section, says, what about times when you really try to dialogue and it don't work? Should you not then have as an option the utilization of force? And halfway tree says, yes, we really should pursue the dialogue, but if the dialogue fails, maybe just maybe, and I'm paraphrasing here, maybe just maybe, you can use a little force. At that point in the debate, halfway tree, you're conceding ground, because the mood says that we should not use force at any time. At any time. So even when the dialogue fails, you should be saying, don't resort to force. Call teacher, tell mommy, right? Call some authority, but don't fight back. Okay? Now, Woburn tells us that there are some instances where force is the best solution. Let's say, for example, a country, the second speaker tells us that a country may find themselves with some kind of threat, some big threat to the country, yes? And the only way for the country to respond, because the government has an obligation to protect its citizens, so the only way the country can respond is to use force. I think when we hear ideas like that from Woburn, we needed to hear some kind of response from Halfway Tree. To say, even then, force is not the best approach. Because maybe force leads to more conflict and more conflict and more conflict, and the issue is not resolved. Right? We wanted to hear more direct response in the debate. And the criticism and these from all teams is that you have to be listening, and as Mr. Montague says, you have to listen to what your teammates are saying, not just in the question and answer, but just listen to what they're saying and respond a little bit, right? So that is a skill that we're going to work on going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, in as much as the moon says that we should never use force, at no time whatsoever should we use force. And one team gives us reasonable examples where force may very well be warranted, justified, needed, a good approach, and the other side does not engage with that, we're left to believe that maybe those instances are instances in which force should be used. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, the winner of this first competitive, important, significant debate in the Sea Things debate competition for 2024, the Junior League competition between Halfway Tree on proposition and Woburn on opposition. The winner of this match is Woburn Primary School. Alright, congratulations. I just want to say finally, in terms of the confidence and the style of the presentation, how we did a better job, they were generally more confident. We heard them a lot better. I can't see, but I felt that you were convicted of what you were saying. But remember, style is weighted less than content. And so Woburn had better content that was not at all engaged with, and therefore Woburn wins overall. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who is there? Teams, I saw you taking photographs, but we want to see a shake hands. We want to know there's no hard feelings. Eh? Can you shake hands, please? And thank you again.